Welcome, everyone. I'm Jeff Doss here, and I'm excited to have you guys today for our Virtual Forums Tour pre-show. And thank you so much for watching the Martial Arts Center Network and watching the Inside Scoop. Today, I'm with my co-commentators. We got Carmichael Simon. We have Jackson Rudolph. We have just an awesome crew that is going to be with us the whole night, right? So are you guys ready?
I'm absolutely ready. I've been waiting for this. It's a great birthday present to be able to contribute today and share this time with you all.
Yes, happy birthday, my friend.
Absolutely. Everybody tuning in, go ahead and drop those happy birthdays in the comments for Carmichael. But yeah, I mean, it's extremely exciting. This is something that anybody that's a fan of sport karate forms and weapons competition has been looking to for weeks leading up to these matchups, especially with the change that we have to the main event. Connor Chastain coming in to replace Alan Davis. We've got an extremely exciting night ahead of us, and I can't wait to break it all down with you guys.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. So let's just kind of get into what are you looking forward to the most, you know? So Carmichael, let's you tell us what it is, man. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm always going to go with the Junior 7 qualities of a champion. You know, power, posture, quickness, timing, endurance, flexibility, and balance. I was always going to look at that because that's the foundational root for our sport. But most importantly is making sure that we have the ability to bridge. You know, bridge our choreography, bridge the generations of legends, and most importantly, through this platform, find the next legends of our sport. So I'm really excited to be here with you all, especially at the time we're going to spend tonight together. It's amazing camaraderie that us three have, you know, contributing to the sport, contributing to the promoters, the past promoters for our leagues, you know, but most importantly, it comes back to the athlete. So as of right now, I'm looking forward to finding that next legend.
Yeah, awesome. And how about you, Jackson?
Yeah, as Carmichael talks about, you know, the evolution of the sport and the history of the sport and the future of the sport, I think that one thing that's going to drive the future of the sport and its continued growth and development is broadcasting and streaming. So it's an honor to be a part of something where we are bringing sport karate competition to the masses. It's not watching YouTube videos after the event, as we've all done for years and years and years, right? But this is actually bringing the event to people's homes and allowing fans of sport karate to watch our sport from the comfort of their own couch. And that's something that's very special, and that is ultimately what's going to help this sport get the respect that it deserves and the exposure that it deserves. And that's really one of the things that I'm most excited about, is just the opportunity to be a part of that. But if we look down the actual divisions, I mean, I think every division has some very interesting folds in it tonight. I'm particularly excited about seeing my competitive edge boys in the clash of teammates, Dawson Holt, Benjamin Jones, and Esteban Tremblay going at it. I think that will be the most closely contested division of the evening, and that's the one that I can't wait to get in there and see what happens.
Awesome. Yeah, so for me, I'm always the creative one. So I'm interested in just the concept, you know, the structure of the rules and the way it's set up. And I think there's different ones throughout the night. And so the triple threat structure, I really enjoy, because again, you're going to get a battle no matter what. Maybe one person has their off day and the other two are killing it, or everyone, hopefully, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to have their awesome, just their competitive shoes on today. So I think I just like how it's set up. I'm interested in also how the judging works. We have a great group of judges with Chris Walker, Manny Brown, Marcel Jones. Hold on. Let's see, Shaheen Jahanbash and Jarrett Megan. So a great group of seasoned competitors that, I mean, are excited about this. You know, we were on our meeting the other night for well over 2 hours and just wanted to keep going, talking about what we were going to bring to this. So what everyone was going to bring to this. So they are as excited as we are. So
absolutely. I think one thing, a testament of all this, is that they are influencers, right? There are still influences in our sport. They still contribute and develop athletes the same as you both do as well. And I think it's important that they have the opportunity to also share, you know, to be judges as well as being athletes. This is a great opportunity for them as well to be able to provide their scoring and the way that they are going to see this competition unfold tonight.
Awesome.
One thing that I always find really interesting looking at judging panels is I feel like often you can kind of figure out which way a judge is going to go based on how that judge competed in their own career, right? So if we just take randomly Marcel Jones as an example, we know that Marcel Jones is going to value strong stances, powerful, creative hand techniques. I mean, Marcel Jones is the greatest creative forms competitor of all time, in my opinion. So those are the types of things that he's going to be looking for, right? And you go down the list of judges, every judge is going to favor things that were strong about their own competition because those are obviously the things that they valued. And so that's a little bit of strategy that maybe our competitors can try to bring in tonight and maybe win over some specific judges' scores. And speaking of the judges' score, another talking point that we can get into is there is going to be a very unique scoring system used tonight in which every judge is going to have an objective score, not relative. They're not going to be comparing it. They're just going to score on a scale of 1 to 10 what they think about the difficulty, the creativity, and the execution of these performances. Those scores are going to be averaged, and then that average will be the one judge's score that you see go up if you're tuning in tonight, which we all hope that you are. And that's going to be how the scores are calculated. So it's not trying to pick like, oh, this competitor is going to get a 9 because they were the best. It's on a scale. Whatever the judge sees, they rank the quality of that execution, difficulty, or creativity, and that's what's going to determine the score, which is going to be very interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. And that also shares with the way that this sport has grown, right? It used to be very technical in execution. Now we've developed it to difficulty and creativity. So this is also the growth that is the opportunity for these guys to really showcase their talents. And it's going to be an amazing night. And being part of this with you all, given your guys' backgrounds, you guys are going to be able to see the same. Is the creativity, execution, and the difficulty of these competitors. And they all have a different variable and things that they've focused on in their careers. But to be able to bring it all together and have these judges see those elements are the most important thing right now, but also to crown a winner tonight.
Awesome. All right, so let's get into our main event and our women's event. So our main event is Shaquan Parson, Connor Chastain, and Rashad Eugene, which is going to be just amazing. This is going to be a creative style, open martial arts battle, all right, where the first round they do their forms, the second round they do their weapon, and if it goes to a tiebreaker, there's a 45-second weapons battle between either just the two or all three or, however it could be. So it's going to be exciting. The same thing will happen in the female division, which will be Sammy Smith, Noell Jellison, and Challenge Olivier. So both of those are going to be high action, intense, and we're going to bring in the coach of both Connor Chastain and Noell Jellison. Great. Let me make sure I got this here. I'm adding them. The great Mike Welch. What's up, my friend?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing great. You staying warm?
I'm staying warm, yeah. We just got a good snowstorm. I did a good bout of shoveling, just 10 minutes ago. But I'm super excited to be here. This is a huge event. It's professional. There's a lot of hype behind it, and I think what's happening tonight is moving the sport forward. So it's an honor to be here with the three of you guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
One thing I wanted to share, you've produced amazing talent, right? And I think the most important thing for the audience members here listening is to not only be an athlete, but it's also developing a school. But most importantly, when you do develop a school, you have to produce athletes, artists, legends, and as well as most importantly, humanitarians. Can you tell us a little bit about how you've raised these two amazing individuals within your community, not just, community in general, and what do you see for them in the future?
Connor and Noel did not get their black belts. I didn't raise them from white belt to black belt. But what you had said is in our school at Infinity Martial Arts, we did build athletes. Martial arts at its core, we teach respect, goal setting, discipline, and excellence, a strive to be excellent. And what made us unique was that we did still have the martial arts business behind it, but we built athletes and we went to tournaments, and I attracted early on and spotted the talent from Connor and Noell, and we built a relationship. And then it wasn't long when they were ready to take their next step forward that they came to Infinity to do more. So they had a great base. Their hard work, their strive for excellence themselves, combined with what myself and our coaches were able to do, a team effort took them to a world championship level. So I expect some pretty impressive things from both of them tonight.
Wonderful. So what does that mean as a coach? Obviously when you get a lot of great talent, what do you look for from these type of athletes to make them coachable? What are those subjective traits that that this athlete is coachable?
That's a good question. The number one thing that I get from Connor and Noell, which isn't a make or break deal, is they have an it factor. You know what I mean? When you see them move, even when they were young and kind of amateur is the wrong word, but just a little green, you could see the it factor. You could see the natural talent and the grind and the grit in their work ethic. So that shined through with these guys individually. But I think what makes them coachable is that they're at the top of their game, but they know that if they want to stay at the top of their game, they need to be challenged. They need to have somebody push them, both competitors, teammates, and coaches. And that's something that Team Infinity was able to offer them. But I think those two things combined, their it factor, but their grind to want to be the best and open to criticism. They can handle a loss as much as they hate it. They can handle a loss. And when they win, they do it like a champion. You know what I mean? They're humble and they're leaders, I think, in our sport. And for us, for me as a school owner, they lead by example. You know what I mean? It's they're approachable. They'll talk to anybody. They'll give wisdom to anybody. So they're really great. I still call them kids, and they're fresh in the adult division, which is also cool about this, especially in the men's division. Rashad, Shaquan, and Connor, they're all young in the men's division. So it's a cool main event.
Yeah, definitely.
So those are my questions. I just want to say congratulations to you, Mike. Thank you so much for what you've been doing, not just as an athlete, but most importantly, what you've been producing for the last few decades as well. So
thank you so much.
Awesome, man. Jackson, got anything?
Yes, one thing that I was thinking about, Alex Dingman just commented accurately, Mike Welch is the best producer of extreme martial arts athletes right now. And that's shown in his track record. We see the Infinity Demo team winning world championships. That's been going on for the majority of the last decade. And now we start to see a lot of those Team Infinity members finding ways to win individual overall grand championships and making name for themselves as well, which is extremely impressive. And I know that, Mike, you and I have had these kind of conversations before because I consider myself a very strategic competitor, and then I pass that on to my students, and I'm a very strategic coach. With the virtual fight tour events, there's definitely a different strategic game that goes into it, because normally when a point fighter goes to a tournament, they're preparing for a gauntlet of fighters. They're preparing to go through a full bracket, whereas in virtual fight tour format, you're preparing for one fighter. At a sport karate tournament, if you're a forms and weapons competitor, you're going to compete against a division of anywhere from 15 to 20. If you're in the men's division at US Open, things like that, it can get up to those type of numbers. But your training is really focused on the 2 or 3 that you think have the best chance to go all the way. So my question for you is, with Connor and Noell, how much did strategy play into the preparation? Obviously, Connor was on short notice, took this match on 5 days. But does the preparation differ in any way compared to just training for a normal tournament?
That's a great question. I think with the two of them, it came down to, well, first of all, Connor was already tournament ready. So he was down at the Destin Open and he did great there. And we've been having consistent practices. So the kids have been tournament ready. And I think the strategy that we hit for this tournament specifically, it came down to not who you're competing against, but what is your very best. Like, let's bring out your toolbox and let's throw that in there. And Noell and Connor, I think both, they came to me with that mindset. We didn't have to strategize like, this is what Sammy's got, this is what Rashad's got. Like, it was more about what's your very best. Let's focus on that. And one of the props to this tournament is whether there's 2 other competitors or it's a live tournament and it's a stacked of 20, 30 competitors, the way that it's scored, I think, plays into that kind of strategy really well.
Yeah.
So Connor being tournament ready, you know, he's really self-motivated and really like he's like the duck on the water, you know, it's cool on top, but the feet are moving, you know what I mean? His wheels are always Noelle was a little bit different, you know, she was really vocal about it. What about this? What about this? And it came down to, yeah, nail it, work that. Let's take that, push on it, because this is your best. So that's really the strategy. It's not so much focused on the other competitors, but bringing your very best to the table. And I would assume the other competitors, I think in the divisions, maybe thought the same way. Just knowing them and the way the rules are built around this. The three men specifically are very, very unique.
Yeah.
The women are too, but I think the men's styles, we're going to see it tonight, like how unique it is. And so that strategy, if they all play to what's my best, I think it's going to show up tonight.
Definitely. Yeah. So, I mean, you just told it right there. What is maybe one word that if someone hasn't seen Connor, and then maybe one word that if someone hasn't seen Noelle, for you to describe each of them?
Connor is going to be, I go back and forth, 50-50, either precision or excellence. It's one or the other, right?
Awesome.
You get that from Connor. I think he's so clean with still a creative mind and a high difficulty. You watch Shaquan, the guy can fly, man, and it's so fun to watch. And Rashad is a super unique competitor, creativity through the roof. So Connor's strength is going to be his precision and his excellence in execution. And then Noelle is going to be just, it's the showmanship. It's the raw stage presence. Right. When she moves, there's an excitement about it. There's intensity behind it. Noelle can do some really, really big things. So if her execution is on the top notch and her stage presence is what we've seen her at her best, she's got a big chance to win it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mike. We're going to get ready for the show, and good luck to you guys and your guys. And I'm sure everyone in Wisconsin and Illinois and everywhere in that area are going to be watching.
Yeah. You guys, great hosts. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. That was awesome, man. Mike's done just some amazing things with all of his different schools. So it's great to not only just have him on, but to have two of his brand new, really adult competitors being featured in this. So it's great. All right. We're going to go right to their traditional division, and that is going to be just a different setup than what we're having in the creative one. So this will be they're going to submit 5 forms, okay, meaning that like right now the judges or the Uventech system knows that they have 5 forms to choose from. They're going to pick their first 2. So one's going to go pick their form, the other one's going to go, and it's going to go like that. And then the third one will be electronically chosen one from the Uventech system. So they don't really get to choose that one, right? So they're kind of eliminating, they're choosing maybe their ones they want and then eliminating some that they don't, or who knows, or maybe they'll be left with the ones they don't. But I'm pretty sure both these competitors are going to nail all 5 of the forms, no matter if we went to 5. So we had Mason Stahl from USA and Ali. I'm going to bring on my our next guest to say this last name, but these guys are going to kill it. So Jared Liker, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm great, man. Nice to see you guys.
Awesome. All right, so say the name one more time. You told me earlier, and
Yeah, you're talking about Ali Sofoglu.
Sofoglu. All right, and he's from Turkey.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about him, because yes, you are Mason's coach, but you've been involved in this for a good. Where are we going on now of traveling the traditional circuit? What, 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years we've been doing WKF. Yes.
Okay, awesome. So tell us a little about him.
Yeah, so Ali is he's one of my favorite kata athletes in the world, for sure. He was a world champion in cadets, world champion in juniors, under 21. He's sub-European champion to Damian Quintero, the last few European championships. I mean, he's number 3 in the Olympic standings to go to Tokyo. I mean, he will be there. And aside from, Kiuna and Quintero, I mean, he's the next best guy in the world. And Ali's a young guy. He's the one who made the kata sansai popular. If anybody sees that now, he was the first guy to roll that out in WKF about 3 years ago in the final in Morocco. And he's an incredible athlete, great guy. He's a young father as well, and so he has that balance. But anytime you stand across the tatami from the Turkish guys, whether it's Ozdemir or it's Sofugu or Gotas, I mean, they're all high level, and they all bring incredible athleticism, but their power, especially in their stature. Ali's not a big guy when you stand next to him, but he is incredibly powerful. So it's a great opportunity to be able to match up with somebody like this, for sure.
Right. And so Mason, how long has Mason been with you?
I've been training Mason since he was 9 years old, and he just turned 18 in September.
Awesome. And so tell us about his journey in this traditional realm of the WKF.
Yeah, so he kind of got a really fast start. He went to one nationals and ended up not making the team. And then he's like, well, I want to do this, so we dove in. And in his second event out, he makes the national team. His third event, he goes to Pan American Championships, makes it to the final, gets silver. Then we go to Mexico to Youth League. He ends up with a medal there as well. And then his world ranking started climbing. And when you turn 16, your ranking from 14, 15, you get to carry over half of your points. And so, which is 16 to 34. So it threw him into the top 100. And we said, well, we're doing this. We're going all in. So we've been going to all the Premier League and Series A tournaments the last 2 years. And he went from, unranked to he's number 17 in the Premier League standings right now. And it's incredible. You asked Mike Welch in the previous segment, and I want to take your question away if you were going to ask me the same, but one word that describes that kid is, he's just relentless. And I never met a student and never had a student that works like this kid. He's blessed with some great gifts, but his work ethic is really unmatched. So it's been an incredible journey for him, especially, so close with everything, unfortunately, with COVID getting shut down. I mean, he was so close to, breaking into that top 10 in the Olympic standing, which could have given him an opportunity to go to Tokyo. But, tournaments are restarting in the beginning of the year. So all this did was give him more time to improve and the other guys time to get older. If you look in the top of the list, there's a lot of guys they're up there. And he's half their age. So it's a good opportunity for him.
Wow, that's awesome.
And Jarrett, you talk about Mason's work ethic. I mean, that's evident by anybody that looks at his social media account. I mean, the kid's a freak of nature, always in the gym or on the mat, training and working out to improve himself. But a big part, especially of the traditional forms game, it seems, and in this competition for sure, is form selection, kata selection. How do you determine which 2 forms you're going to run compared to the 3 that are going to be in the random draw from Juventex? And I also know that from your perspective, because you coach a lot of traditional forms champions, just trying to find forms that match the athlete, match the competitor. So can you just kind of give us some insight as to how you make those decisions as a coach, or is that really led by what forms the competitor just likes to do?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jackson. So anybody that knows me, I'm a crazy statistical person. Like I have like sheets of. So what I do when I go to the tournaments is, of course we prepare, but I want to know statistics. So I keep track of all the Premier League athletes. There's about top 100. I keep track of every tournament that they're at. I keep track of what kata they did in what round, which katas advanced past the first round, which katas would match up better. So I have all these things that we track. And so, you can kind of look at like which kata is going to give you the best chance to advance past the first round, depending upon what part of the world you're in, right? Because once you kind of break through that top 64 round and you're into the round of 32, I mean, it's a things get tough, but really getting out of the first round is the first one. So, if you look at like for every athlete is different, right? But there are certain katas that the referees like to see, certain katas that score well. Interestingly enough, Ali, his best kata is Kankusho, but like he wouldn't use it early, right? He uses it strategically. Typically, you see him use it in the semifinal or a medal match to try to make sure he makes it to the medal match. And it's weird, you see some of the higher level katas that you would think, oh yeah, this is like well known, first round, they don't make it, right? There's a lot of those things that go into kind of the statistics. So, we look at every athlete and I look at what their strengths are. I look at what the referees, of course, have judged on throughout the season, whether that be in a certain tournament type setting or in a certain part of the world. In certain parts of the world, you're going to see referees with certain backgrounds. So we want to make sure we've kind of prepared for that. So yeah, there's a lot of strategy that goes into it.
Awesome.
So let me ask you this: as you've transitioned from an open type sport now into a more formal Olympic traditional sport, how have you evolved as a coach personally? From the athlete you once were, and then obviously with your family's mogul brand, and then having all these athletes traveling, how has that changed you, not only as a person, but obviously producing talent now?
Well, I feel that as a coach, it's my obligation to seek out the knowledge and continue to improve. And I invest a lot of my resources going to Okinawa, training with the national team of Japan there, training with the national team of Spain. I really look to those guys as my mentors. And, it's just like when we come into NASCA, when you first start, if it's like somebody's looking for the best coach or they want to they want to learn and they want to reach the top, you don't always look at you look at the athletes, yes, but you need to look at what made those athletes, right? And that's, what I did. And that's what I continue to do is just seek out the top teams and continue to learn so that I can keep my students ahead and on par, like with those best athletes, because Japan and Spain, it's them, Turkey, those three nations, it's very dominant in the WKF. And then there's everybody else.
Yeah.
And so, it's it's been a great journey. And I also think though, that coming from an open circuit, you have the mindset of these athletes. I mean, you take some of these kids that they know how to perform in front of thousands of people. They're not afraid. It's like, okay, you've been on TV before. It's like, it's not a problem. And so that's one thing I think gives them a great edge in the open circuit or transitioning from open circuit to traditional is they're used to performing. You're used to adapting on the go, and they have a lot of skills, and so I think it's a lot of just honing in on what works for them, sharpening up their specific skills and finding their niche. But yeah, for me, I love it because I love the professionalism and what Jackson got to. If you guys can already tell, I love the strategy. That's my favorite part of it.
Yeah.
I got one personal question for you. Traveling overseas, being as ingrained to traditional sport and bring it to an open sport, now going back to really culture, how has your personal spirit changed by going overseas to Asia?
Man, I love that question. Going to Japan is something that's, I feel like it has changed me a little bit. I like when I was in that culture, the amount of respect that people just carry for one another on a daily basis. Just some random guy walking down the street. I mean, the things that we're used to in our culture it's completely different. And so, yeah, I feel I'm a little bit more peaceful as a person. But I also think that, you adapt those things into the culture of your dojos too. And so, I think it's been really great for my mindset. I think it's really great just to learn about the other cultures too. And, when you travel, of course, you like to try all the different foods. So, that's one of my favorite things. You get to try the different cuisine and things like that when we travel. So,
yeah, I just want to share that 'cause I can hear it from your voice. I can see it from your energy. It's amazing to watch you grow as well, from that athlete to the coach, and now being able to spiritually connect to a traditional art that you've trained your entire life with your father.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, I'm just gonna the same thing what Carmichael said, man. I've seen you grow from a young kid from back in the NBL days, and now to just see you as the top coach, one of the top coaches there is. So proud of you, man. And looking forward to seeing Ali versus Mason tonight. And good luck to you as a coach and to Mason as your athlete. And have a great one, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Awesome, bud. All right. So, man, these have been 2 great interviews. We're getting lots of good insight. And, Jackson, you kind of told us before, the way we're kicking this thing off is just, your team competitive edge just going at it, right?
Yeah, man, I'm super excited for it. And one of the things that I love most about all of the representatives of Competitive Edge is that they're all so different. I mean, even Ben and Esteban, who do the same weapon, you watch Ben and Esteban do bow, they do bow very, very differently. Esteban is much more focused on the performance and the overall difficulty. He's just going to go out there and do a move and show how hard it is. Whereas Ben is a lot more creative, and Ben tries to come up with his own techniques and put a different twist on things. And so it's 2 very, very different approaches to the game, and they're both proven to be effective. They're both NASCA overall grand champions. And then the other side of things, we have Dawson, who you weapon. I said in one of the previous streams that we did before, I think he's probably the cleanest sword competitor that we've seen on the circuit since Carmichael, who's widely considered to be the greatest sword competitor of all time. And so when you see that type of talent with Dawson, and then the incredible talent of Ben and Esteban as well, if you were to ask me to predict which way that was going to go tonight, I couldn't tell you. And that's not just because I can't say it because I'm their coach. It's because I truly have no idea who's going to win tonight.
Right. It's going to be awesome.
Coming from the coach.
That's right.
That's amazing. Yeah. Just coming from the coach who knows. That's great. That means you've done your job.
Correct.
I guess so. I hope so.
Awesome. All right, so we got a special guest as well, one of the legends, and just, man, I'm excited to see this. This is a surprise. Carmichael surprised us. So here we go. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
How you doing?
Nice to see you, sir.
Nice to see you guys. So honored to be here.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So just to let you know, Quadranim is Quadranim George Shaw, the innovator of American Forms, still a member of West Coast World Martial Arts or West Coast Taekwondo with Ernie Reyes Sr. and family. Tonight, just to let you know, sir, we are doing a virtual forms tour, and I wanted you to come to the pre-show for a couple of things. One is to share sort of in a few minutes what you've seen with when you were once a competitor in the early 80s developing American freestyle martial arts to where it is now, and sort of give your insight as a coach, as an athlete, as well as what you see as a spectator, seeing how our entire sport karate has changed over the last really 3 decades.
Thanks so much. First of all, before I start, I am completely in awe of all 3 of you guys, starting with Jackson, who I see a lot because of my my work with Black Belt Magazine. We run a lot of their digital management now. Where you have taken the sport karate, with your skills of not just with your skills with what you've done with the bow staff, but also just amplifying this entire world with product as a brand in teaching and coaching. I think that's unbelievable. And to be able to do that while at the same time you're pursuing your education at Stanford. I'm actually talking right now from my Bay Area home. I'm right down the street from Stanford. And so I think it's just amazing that you're able to balance those 2, which truly tells me, I mean, that is, there's such an amount of work just in one, and yet you're doing both, and then you're coaching on top of that. So really kudos to you, a tremendous amount of respect. And Jeff, following your career from the beginning, I know that you started back in the day training with John Valera, I believe, going way back, and for what you guys did in taking the sport and the extreme sport really to another level, combining both the traditional and the tricking and the gymnastics. I'm in complete awe of that, because in many ways I look at the generation that we had, when I really look at the skill set of what you guys do today, it's almost like I'm looking back in time from what we did to what I'm seeing today. And I'm so impressed. I'm so, I'm fascinated, and I'm inspired by it every time I see what's going on, because every day it looks like there's something new getting better and better and better.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, and thank you, sir, from me as well. I mean, blown away. Thank you.
Okay, so Carmichael knows I'm not a big back in the day kind of guy. I'm a live forward kind of guy. But
Yes, sir.
if you want to ask me any questions or stories, you're more than welcome to. But as Carmichael knows, I'm very much 100 miles an hour ahead.
I love it. I love
Yes. So I guess this is a quick pre-show. Could you obviously there's news today and blessings and prayers to Kwajinem Ernie Sr.
Yeah.
If you can take a quick minute,
Absolutely.
give your testimony on Kwajinem Ernie,
Yeah.
how he's been able to contribute into your life as well as the hundreds of thousands in the world that have been inspired by him.
I would be honored to do that. In fact, I was just texting him just a little while ago. You know, I started with training with Kwajinem Ernie Reyes, you know, way back, you know, going back, you know, over 40 years ago in my training. And, you know, I mentioned this to someone the other day. What really sets him apart from most is I truly believe that had Ernie picked basketball, football, baseball, cricket, soccer, he would have been a championship coach in any one of those fields. Because at the end of the day, he's an amazing coach. And a coach knows how to manage, motivate, teach, all of the above, and really inspire his students or his players. And at that time, we were his athletes. But you know, those people that knew him in his much younger days, you know, he was a tremendous fighter. And he's always been a great fighter. In fact, in most of our training as we were coming up, there was very little emphasis on forms. In fact, the emphasis was all on fighting.
Right.
And I think that's what made his studio and his students as they were coming up very authentic, because at the end of the day, we competed, but 90% of the time we were training to fight. And, you know, and that was still very much part of the martial arts training. And fast forward to today, he still inspires, you know, thousands and thousands of people. But as an innovator, what has happened over the years, what he did with the West Coast demo team early on just kind of laid a base. And you know, I kind of use in the terms of when we look backwards in martial arts times, you know, in many ways, the time of martial arts of the 50s, 60s, 70s almost mirrored what was going on in America. It was very separate. I'm a karate guy. I'm a Japanese karate guy. I'm a Korean person. I'm a Kempo person. I stick to mine. I train with mine. You do yours. And there was almost this rivalry between the two. And Ernie was one of the first instructors. And I believe it was very much inspired by teachings of guys like Bruce Lee, who said, you know, it's okay to cross-train. It's okay to share. It's okay to mix martial arts. Where today, it's really a thing that you have to be able to do. Back then, it really wasn't an accepted thing. And so I think one of the beautiful things that he taught us when we were coming up is this open mind that allowed us to go train in other styles. Where today, as I said, it's a very accepted thing. But if you can imagine, I mean, you're only going back one generation, a generation and a half, when at the time it was considered kind of taboo to cross-train with other instructors and styles. So I think one of the things that he's done is, if any part of his legacy, he's been able to open up the minds of thousands and thousands of students to train, cross-train in various forms and disciplines of martial arts to make themselves better and to go on and inspire others.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Kwajinem, for your time. And thank you once again for joining us as well, and all the contributions that you've been providing to each of us individually.
Yeah. By the way, it's
George.
By the way, it's George.
Yes, sir. George.
It's George.
George.
Will do, George. Thank you.
Have a great one, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Awesome. Well, guys, man, we're ready. We're getting close. So if you guys have not gotten your tickets yet, now is the time to do it. So several different ways. You can just go to myuventex.com and then scroll through, and you'll see right there, Virtual Forms Tour. And click on it and register. And man, it's going to be awesome. I mean, I'm so excited. I know each of us are. We got to get ready to produce an awesome show. And I'm excited. Thank you guys. Thanks to Mike Welch, Jared Leiker, and George Chung for joining us tonight. And thank you guys, and happy birthday, Carmichael. And see you guys on My Uventex, guys. Let's go. Let's make this show the best we can tonight. Make some history, right?
Yeah, see you guys there.
See you guys.